In Jamaica, the energy and transport sectors account for over half of greenhouse gas emissions on the island. This is a very large contribution to emissions from only 2 sectors. So we are focusing a lot on both areas to meet the overall reduction target. We have made progress in the power sector by moving from heavy fuel oil to liquefied natural gas. LNG now accounts for over half of the total fuel mix, helping to reduce emissions in that sector. Similarly, in transportation, we're looking to upgrade the way we move people and things to get measurable reductions in emissions. Underway is the drive to pursue electric mobility that involves a transition to electric vehicles in all transportation modes on the island. Many wonder, however, if it is possible for Jamaica to cross this e-mobility divide. In this measure, I have now become an active participant from the power utility to meet this goal. Traditionally, power and transport were 2 distinct areas with unique features. But it turns out that in Jamaica, there was a strong nexus between the 2 at the end of the 19th century. Surprisingly, it was based on the electrification of transportation. A quick look back in our history reminds us that Jamaica always embraced new technology to advance its people. In 1892, electricity came to Jamaica only 12 years after the incandescent lamp was commercialized. The then power utility, West India Electric Company, met the lighting and the power needs of the population and also undertook the transportation of people, produce and heavy goods by replacing mule-driven trams with an electric-powered tramcar system in 1898. These tram cars carried such things as water, gravel, asphalt, as well as transported bananas from Upper St. Andrew into Stony Hill and then into the railway piers of Kingston for loading onto ships. My 94-year-old family friend, who born and grew in Kingston, confirms that she was ahead of me in experiencing electric mobility. She vividly recalls in the 1940s, Sunday evening tramcar rides, loaded with children and social groups, taking the usual trip around the avenue. Of note as well, the electric locomotive was also part of the transportation system the utility operated in the 1920s. The electric tramcar system, a beloved feature of the Kingston landscape, was a major mode of transport until it was deemed uneconomical. In 1948, a network of petrol-driven buses replaced this system, and the power utility handed over the transport franchise to another company. Now, the power company is set to return to its original roots in electric transportation after many years. A 2020 market survey in Jamaica that I was a part of indicates that half of the persons polled were not aware of electric vehicles. Of those that were aware, only half of them were willing to buy an electric vehicle. The issues they had with changing to an electric vehicle, in their own words, were that the cost would not work out cheaper than the regular gas vehicle, that there's nobody in Jamaica who really understands electric vehicles in the event something goes wrong with it, and that there is no access to any type of charging stations. Charging capability and access is a major issue for one of my friends. She told me, I would never want to drive a vehicle that I don't know when the battery charge is going to run out, or you can't drive when you have a power outage. I will continue to take my bus from Kingston to Portmore with my daughter. I am sure it would be difficult for her husband to buy an electric vehicle since she is not convinced that it makes sense. For her, cost was not even a consideration. It reinforces how critical the public education and awareness initiatives now being formulated by stakeholder groups, targeting both men and women, must address the real concerns of the average person who simply wants reliable and cost-effective transportation. These public awareness and education initiatives will be rolled out by early 2021. Range anxiety, that is running out of battery charge before you get to your destination, is of course a real concern to many persons. To respond to this, the power utility is rolling out a network of public charging stations for island-wide coverage and access for any electric vehicle owner. These will be a mix of fast chargers, those take less than 30 minutes to fully charge a battery, and commercial chargers. These take maybe between 3 and 4 hours to fully charge if the battery is at zero. These charging stations will be installed at malls, multifunction gas station complexes, public offices, for the convenience and the security of users during vehicle charging. Charging rates at these public sites will be set by the power utility regulator by the end of this year. A mobile app will also be used for identifying the locations of these charging stations, paying for the charging sessions, and monitoring the vehicle during these sessions. These charging stations also will be operational by early 2021. However, it is expected that most of the time, vehicle charging will be done at home at regular residential power rates. Those persons who are concerned about the price of these cars will know that the cost of a new battery-powered electric vehicle is more expensive than an equivalent gas vehicle in Jamaica. However, the unit cost of electricity as a fuel versus regular petrol is much less at current rates in Jamaica. The power required for full charge of the battery, which is the equivalent of filling your gas tank, will vary depending on the type of electric vehicle that you buy. The total cost of owning an electric vehicle over several years versus a gas vehicle is expected to be far more favorable in Jamaica, as a lower fuel cost, that's electricity, will quickly offset the initial higher car purchase cost. All these positive points should help my friend's husband to convince her that an electric vehicle could be their next major purchase. He may need to bring flowers with the car though, I'm not sure, with the car charger. Today, more than half of our population use public transport for their mobility needs. Route taxis are the most popular, followed by the public bus service. That roughly half of the population use this means of transport suggests that the electrification of this sector will be central to the successful implementation of the eMobility strategy. In Jamaica, government and non-government agencies strongly support the transition of public transport companies with pilot rollout of electric buses. The power utility is also participating in the setup of the charging infrastructure for these large buses, leveraging its expertise on the power distribution network. When the average Jamaican traveling population is used to public transport via electric buses and taxis, I bet you the transition to personal ownership of electric vehicles should become a lot easier. The future growth and expansion that I see for Jamaican eMobility will happen in 3 phases. First, we will import and buy new and used electric vehicles in moderate quantities. Buyers will be those who are not very price sensitive, environmentally conscious, and tech savvy. They will charge their vehicles at home and use public charging facilities as a backup. The second phase will see owners of cars and bus fleets replacing old vehicles with electric vehicles, for example, tour buses and car rental companies. This replacement by electric vehicles will become more economical as the cost of batteries fall and the total cost of ownership declines. Similarly, upgrades of the power grid will be more centralized to respond to this new demand, and we'll be creating expertise locally in deploying large-scale charging facilities. In the final phase, there will be a more aware and informed Jamaican population embracing electric vehicles. The support systems such as financing, insurance, and maintenance will be at a far greater level of maturity, and the sector will be creating new economic opportunities for the average Jamaican. Home charging will be embedded in the building codes, and public charging will be accessible at multiple convenient locations. A conservative forecast is that roughly 20 to 50,000 electric vehicles could be operational in Jamaica by 2030. The impact would be transformational on our public transportation sector. In my view, the true measure of success of our long-term e-mobility strategy will be defined by whether the average taximan thinks it is financially beneficial to convert to an electric vehicle. I can easily see a time where the taximan won't be complaining about high fuel costs, but rather battery capacity. The signs are becoming clearer, very clear, that our country is ready and committed to making the shift to e-mobility. It's been a very positive and consultative partnership among various stakeholders. These include government, multilateral funding agencies, utilities, private and public sector entities. And in these early planning stages, this has been absolutely instrumental. All are pulling in the same direction to minimize adverse outcomes and mistakes in the rollout of our own Jamaican e-mobility program. As we systematically build the bridge over the e-mobility divide, I know that over the next few years, as our friend from St. Thomas would say, we're gonna cross it. Thank you very much.